I'm a creature in this space-time continuum. All I can see are trees, you, and everything else. God is not an object in our universe. He transcends the universe, as you've already said. So it's not right. It's not right to ask me, have I seen God like I've seen you? It doesn't work like that. But the evidence of God's existence as a transcendent creator is all around us, and that I deduce he exists. It's different.
That's a philosophical
God's
argument.
not like us.
That's a philosophical argument because of cause and effect. Because they're
contingency, actually, it's technically called contingency.
Because there is beings, because there is creation, that means therefore there's a creator.
That's not quite. No, I'm saying the evidence of design to a designer implies.
It's a philosophical argument.
Sort of. Design, as we see all around, implies a designer, and a designer must have will, intelligence, consciousness on an unbelievable scale. Who created all this? So we can deduce the characteristics of God, attributes of God, by the universe himself. That he is immensely powerful, that he is immensely amazing in that he can create this universe, that he and so on. We can go so far. Revelation takes us a lot further, of course, about all the attributes of God. So, and other things like the unseen. We don't know about, for example, angels and the afterlife, except that is revealed to us.
What I'm trying to say, if you believe in these things, right? Science can't prove these things.
No.
Because they're beyond human testing.
It's beyond science.
And that's what I'm saying, they're transcendental.
Yeah,
so
in that sense.
My thing to you is that we have an innate feeling,
disposition?
Disposition. An innate feeling to believe in something, even though we haven't seen it.
Exactly.
And my point to you is that we're on the same boat.
Oh, in that sense, I think we are. But when it comes, what triggered this whole discussion off was your belief the Bible is reliable, even though we haven't.
I wasn't talking about the Bible. I was talking about.
We were talking about manuscripts, weren't we?
No, I was talking about faith. Faith in the.
Yeah, you said you have faith in the Bible as reliable, without any evidence that goes back to the time of Jesus.
And you said something about manuscripts. You brought up this manuscript. I'm not evidentialist. I'm not a Christian because of evidence.
But shouldn't you have evidence for your? Shouldn't you have evidence for your belief?
No, not necessarily.
Why not?
Because a God, a creator, shouldn't have to prove himself by tangible evidence that he's.
I don't believe God has to prove anything to me.
Right, exactly.
But I do believe there's evidence for his existence.
Sorry?
He doesn't have to prove anything to me, of course, but there is evidence that he exists.
How do you prove the evidence of somebody who's unseen?
I've already explained. The universe is exquisitely designed in the most astonishing way. It didn't come about by chance. It's clearly we're meant to be here in some way. This implies purpose, design, intelligence, and so on. All these are attributes of a phenomenal transcendent being whom we call God. Now, it's a mistake to think that we, as creatures on this planet, can see God as if he was an object in this universe. I keep on saying this point. We can't reasonably expect to see that.
What you're saying to me is that because there are creations and there are things, therefore, that's a logical argument, which comes down to philosophy. But that's not actually seeing a being, like I said, in beyond the tangible. So where
it's evidence.
Sorry?
I don't mean by seeing. I keep on coming back to it. Do you expect me to see God like I see you? And therefore I now know. No, that's not what I mean.
You're using a logical argument, and I'm coming to a conclusion.
I'm just observing the universe and deducing that behind the universe, beyond, there must be a creator. That's not really a philosophical argument. It's the argument contingency.
It can be a scientific model.
It's not a science argument.
Because in the philosophy of science, they have a model. And that can be used as a philosophical argument and a scientific one, because like I said, cause and effect is a scientific model.
Yeah, I'm not talking about cause and effect though, because that's the thing within the universe. I'm saying
Isaac Newton.
Yeah, I'm talking
because there is creation, therefore. So you're coming to a logical argument and a scientific argument.
It's not really a syllogism. It's not really a syllogism. It's not a logical argument. It's not a syllogism. You know, where you have a premise and then a conclusion. It's not a syllogism. What it is a
syllogism,
which is an argument in logic. It's not a syllogism. It's not a philosophical argument.
Syllogism is logic from the self, right?
It's a particular logical structure where you have.
I think therefore I am. Knowledge comes from ourselves.
Okay, but my argument is not a syllogism.
Do you know he's begging the question?
It is the sense that the universe is clearly designed, therefore there's a designer who is infinitely transcendent of the universe. He's not part of the universe, he's not in the universe, it's not panentheism or pantheism or even deism. He's utterly transcendent, who creates and sustains the universe in power. And I think the evidence for that is overwhelming. We see it in every object around us, from trees, within ourselves, in the grass, rocks, the stars, DNA, whatever you say, it all cries out, this is design and has purpose. So therefore I say there is a designer. It's not...
What you're saying, like I said, we keep going back and forth. You're looking at creation and coming to a logical conclusion that because...
Do you agree? Do you agree with that conclusion?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay,
the universe is intricately designed.
Yeah, exquisitely designed.
It didn't just pop up by itself.
Exactly.
I don't believe in evolution. I believe there's an intelligent being behind it. But see, so what you're saying, there is something that's being revealed to us because there's intelligent design, therefore intelligent creator.
Yeah.
That says there's an intelligent being, but then that's different from you actually looking at a being in the spiritual.
I can't see God in this life with my eyes.
Right, and
maybe in the next life, actually, one can, with a different kind of body or perhaps. Yeah. Well, I don't believe he exists. I know he exists.
You don't just believe through intelligent design.
I know he exists. There's a difference between belief in the Christian sense.
Whether you believe or not.
Let me clarify this. Often when Christians say I believe in something, they well, I don't really have any evidence. So can I just finish what I'm saying? Okay. I was trying to explain.
You don't just believe because of intelligent design. You believe because there's an innate feeling
the fitra.
Yeah, right.
But as I was saying, if I go back to say, when Christians say they believe that, I believe in X, they often mean, well, there's not really any evidence to it. I just believe it. And that's not, when I say I believe in God, I don't believe in God in that sense at all.
I'm saying that's the crux of
yeah. I'm not saying I believe in God like that at all. I'm saying I know God exists.
Okay, all right, and so same thing.
For the same reason, because his existence is axiomatic, it's self-evident, it's obvious.
You said that when you say
it's obvious. No, I said axiomatic. Axiomatic, which means self-evident. It's a self-evident truth. So it's not like a blind faith.
Right, yeah, that's fine.
It is obvious that God exists.
Yeah, but that's the thing, we actually agree.
Absolutely.
It's something that's innate in us.
Exactly.
We were wired to believe.
Exactly.
So we don't just believe on the creation.
Exactly.
We don't just look at creation and make an analysis and say, like a creator, because of creation, therefore creator, there's something else that's pushing us to believe in something. And that is faith. Like I said, Hebrews 11:1, the evidence of all things hoped for, the evidence unseen. So
well, I'm not endorsing Hebrews,
but we're in the same boat.
Yeah, maybe on terms of God's existence. Yeah. But I think when it comes to the specifics of the Bible and so on, I think that's a very different problem. And I think it's not obvious that the Bible is reliable or historically accurate in many of its claims.
Okay, that's fine. But when it comes down to we're going on faith, is that what has been recovered is reliable.
What do you mean? What's that?
Through manuscripts or whatever.
Oh no,
parchments.
No, I find that the historians often point out that the Gospels are historically unreliable in many of its statements. Right. Unreliable, and these are usually Christian scholars that say this. I can give you examples if you like. Would you like me to give you examples?
Can I just make this point? Okay. Does God need manuscripts to speak to you?
Of course not, but I'm not sure. What has God got to do with those manuscripts?
But then why are we talking about manuscripts when we have an innate belief anyway? So we can believe in God without manuscripts. So it's kind of irrelevant to go.
No, it's not.
To go down that evidential argument when we both believe transcendentally.
Because there's a difference between our common agreement, which is great, that God obviously does exist. Right. But when it comes to other beliefs, like for example, are the Gospels historically reliable? And that's a different subject entirely than I think Christian scholars that I've read anyway. Many of them would say there are very unhistorical and unreliable stories in the Gospels, and to do with historical reasons and textual reasons.
Which is an evidential argument.
Well, I know you like that. I know you like that phrase a lot, but that's not really my phrase.
I can just say I believe in what they.
Let me give an example of a manuscript. So in the earliest Gospel, the Gospel of Mark, we have some resurrection appearances of Jesus, but scholars have discovered that these resurrection appearances were added by scribes much later than the Gospel of Mark. How do we know that? Because we have today we have very early manuscripts like the Codex Sinaiticus, which do not contain these stories. They were added in the 2nd century.
I've read about the Sinaiticus and the Sinaiticus.
They don't have those resurrection appearances.
I don't actually trust those codexes. I actually believe those to be corrupt. They were written by corrupt people.
Well, who wrote the Codex Sinaiticus?
It was written by members of the Alexandrian sect.
What Alexandrian sect?
The Alexandrians.
Who actually wrote the Codex out then? Who commissioned it?
Long story short, it was written by a group of people and they were corrupt. They were actually members of a cult.
No one actually knows who commissioned it and wrote it.
No one actually knows.
No, if you go to the British Library and
no one actually knows who wrote Sinaiticus.
No one knows who wrote it and commissioned it. People can guess. Some people say Emperor Constantine because it was around that period. One of a whole set of Bibles that he allegedly commissioned. Maybe, but we don't know. If you ask the experts at the British Library, when you look at the exhibition, you can go there tomorrow morning, you're going to look at and see the exhibition. They don't know who wrote it. They don't know who commissioned it. But they do date it because you date it by carbon dating and handwriting styles and so on.
Yeah,
they date it to the middle of the 4th century. But my point is, in the early church before that, we now know from the science of textual criticism that these resurrection appearances of Mark didn't exist.
I don't go through textual criticism.
That's fine.
Because there are many critics like Westcott and Holt. They made up their own
These are
brand.
19th century Cambridge scholars.
They made up their own brand of textual criticism
But now the 21st century.
to make their translations of the Bible seem more superior.
But that was
than
200 years ago. I'm talking about in 2024. That was
Westcott and Holt.
Westcott both lived in the Victorian Christians living in Cambridge and Oxford.
But when they
that was
lived,
a long time ago.
But when they lived, they made up, like I said.
But maybe. But today's scholars are not Westcott and Holt. That's Westcott College, Cambridge, is actually named after Westcott. Cambridge University. I've been there.
Yeah. But like I said before, this is an irrelevant argument because I'm not an evidentialist. And
well, what do you mean by evidentialist? You don't believe in evidence?
Going on evidence. I have faith that what I've read is true.
Blind faith.
No, but you said before it wasn't blind faith, it was faith.
Well, no, but if you don't require evidence, you just believe it anyway. That's blind faith, isn't it?
I tend to say it's just faith.
I say it's blind faith. Different kinds of faith. You see, if I believe something and I have no evidence for it at all, that's blind because there's no reason why I should believe that. No rational reason why I should believe that.
Yeah, but
there's no evidence.
I just said to you, can God speak to you without manuscripts? And you said, yeah, we both agreed. And we both agreed that's why we believe in a being we haven't seen.
Yes, but I haven't claimed to believe anything without evidence.
No, but we just said, remember what I said?
There is evidence to my beliefs, which is based on the Quran, for example.
You said that you believed in a higher power, which you haven't seen. One, because of creation.
Yeah,
that's evidence.
That's evidence.
I'll call it revelation.
Okay.
And
fine.
You said because of an innate capacity, like you said, what we were born with, to believe in the unseen. Okay. And that is the crux of our belief. It's not about evidential. We don't believe.
No, you see, we moved beyond that subject. So hang on, can I explain? I agree with you about the existence of God, but there are other subjects, other doctrines of belief that you have.
I can just brush that aside and say I'll just believe in faith.
Can you let me finish?
Yeah.
Other than the existence of God, but there's plenty of evidence, there are other specific Christian doctrines that are not that belief in God, that have no evidence for, that you believe them blindly because you're a Christian. I get that impression. But Islamically, we're not allowed just to have blind faith with no reason at all. For example, let me give an example. Let me give an example. The example, the unseen, the afterlife, the existence of the day of resurrection and the day of judgment. That's what I'm coming to. The day of judgment and so on. I've not seen those things. I have no physical.
Yeah. So I just want to quick point and then.
Am I taking too long to talk? You're finding me a bit slow, are you?
I just want to make a quick point and then quick introduction.
Yeah, but I'd like to just finish my point, if that's all right. So why do I believe these things? What evidence do I have? God's own word, which is the Quran. And other scriptures also mention this, but the Quran is the last revelation of God, uncorrupted, pure, unchanged, unlike the Bible, which has been changed. And I've given you an example, but you're not perhaps too comfortable with that. So that's why I believe on the testimony of the ultimate authority possible, which is God himself. That's why there is evidence for it. The evidence is God, who is reliable. When the beliefs that some of the beliefs you have are not based on any evidence. They're just based on your believing in them.
That's what we both agreed on.
And I'm saying that Islamically that's not good enough. We require evidence for everything we believe.
Yeah, but what you're suggesting to me is a framework, a protocol of believing something, but which you don't hold to ultimately. We keep going back and forward.
I do hold to it ultimately. The ultimate authority is God and his teaching.
You just said we just keep going. We just said over and over again we have an innate capacity to believe in something that we haven't seen.
No, but I've changed the subject. I'm talking about something else now. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about a specific.
I'm saying you're not an evidentialist.
I am an evidence because the evidence comes from God.
But have you seen God?
I don't have to have seen him to read his word. The Bible, the Quran, the Quran is not God. I don't have to see God to believe in the Quran. The Quran is his speech.
Can God be scientifically proven?
That's a category mistake to ask that question. Because God is not.
No, he can't be scientifically proven.
Let me explain why. Because God is not an object within the universe that we can measure scientifically. It's a category error to ask that question. It's a category mistake. God massively transcends all the universe. He is behind it and beyond it. He controls and brings it into being. To ask us to use science, which operates within our material realm, to talk about the transcendent God who is not material, is simply an error. It's a mistake.
That's why we don't use it.
So we can't use science to prove to prove or disprove God.
Right. So then we have to go on faith. What can we do then?
Well, we've already been down that road. But I was talking about specific Christian beliefs which you have, which are not apparently based on any evidence. And I'm saying we should not have beliefs based on no evidence.
But it doesn't matter to me though.
Fine.
Because, like I said,
because you could be, but you see, the danger then is you're believing stuff that isn't true because just on your whim and your wish.
Is God not true?
No. Your beliefs without evidence could just be illusory, couldn't they? They could be illusory.
Yeah, but we both agree that God is true.
Yeah. So if you have no evidence of beliefs, you could just be believing anything that's not true. But if I have evidence of my beliefs, then at least I can point to something objective beyond my own wishes and say, I believe in the day of judgment because God said that in the Gospels, which he has. Jesus, as a prophet of God, has spoken about a day of judgment. Muhammad, peace be upon them both, have also spoken. That's evidence. God has spoken to us, the humankind. But if you just have beliefs because you just have beliefs, you could be misled, and you wouldn't even know because you don't have any evidence. That's the problem I have.
But when you put all your eggs in those baskets, you're like I said, you can't prove, science can't prove these things that we believe.
Science is irrelevant. Science is irrelevant. Science is irrelevant for what we're talking about. Science can't speak to these metaphysical realities. Science is only competent within the material realm. But I'm not speaking about the material realm. I'm speaking about the transcendent God.
Evidence is material.
No, there's non-material evidence. There's spiritual evidence,
which is special revelation which God has given us.
Yeah, exactly. So that's science has nothing to say about that. It can't speak to that because it's to do with quantity and.
I'm not using science as my atomic bomb.
Right, but you're mentioning
faith as my atomic bomb.
Yeah, but you keep on mentioning science as if that's relevant to.
No, that's what you're going on. That's what I'm saying. You're going on science.
No,
you're going on physical things that can be, which is
not when it comes to revelation. It's nothing to do with science. It's to do with God's own.
You're saying something about we speak about parchments, carbon dating. That's science.
What? Because I'm saying that the Gospels, which you think are reliable, we don't have the original copies, and Christian scholars today think they are corrupted. They're corrupted, so they're not reliable as evidence. That's my problem.
My argument is I have faith that whatever they brought me is true.
Based on what?
Based on faith.
Yeah, but this is blind faith. This is blind faith.
You keep saying blind faith, but
because you have no evidence for it. Faith. You see, I have evidence that the New Testament is corrupt. You have blind faith that it's not. So how do we weigh up this equation? Who is right? I can give you lots of examples and evidences of textual corruption in the Bible. I can give you a dozen examples from memory. And you say, none of that matters. It's not carbon dating. None of this matters because I have blind faith.
That's how they test
who has the better argument here?
we both believe in the same thing. Like
No, we don't. We don't believe in the same things.
You're trying to make an error. You're trying to say that my religion is better than your religion.
No, I'm saying no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that your blind faith in texts is, according to your own scholars, misplaced. That they say there's corruption in the Bible. Even the Bible says it's corrupt. In Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8, Jeremiah the prophet himself, you can Google it now if you want, he talks about the lying pens of the scribes, the Jewish scribes, who had changed the Torah. It actually says that in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 8, verse 8. Google it now or look it up. So even the Bible admits the Bible has been corrupted. I'm not making that up. If you look it up, look it up.
That's an opinion of men that you've listened to.
This is what Jeremiah says in the Bible.
Jeremiah?
Look it up. No, I'm serious. You weren't saying this.
So,
Did you have a copy of the Bible now?
Because I wasn't really listening.
You weren't listening to me. Why am I?
I know the Bible very well. Jeremiah says the Bible's been corrupted.
Well, you must. If you know the Bible well, you'd know that. Then.
No, I think you're clutching at straws.
I'm not. I'm deadly serious.
Jeremiah,
look it up.
The prophet said that the Bible's been corrupted.
Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. Look it up now. Look it up now. He talks about the lying pen of the scribes who had corrupted the Torah. He says that. Jeremiah 8:8. I'll wait while you look it up. You can read it out.
Jeremiah 8.
Chapter 8, verse 8. Yeah. Do you want to read it out?
What version, by the way?
Well, a modern version would be nice, rather than, unless you can read the Greek. I'm not fussy, but just a modern version.
I'll go with the King James.
No, I'm talking about modern versions, because King James is a really bad translation.
Again, this is just a false narrative, because
no, it's not a false narrative.
The KJV's got a lot of stick, but it's the most accurate.
It's not.
And one thing I know about is the translations. When you look at the other translations,
okay, I will look at the. I will give you now modern translation. Jeremiah 8:8.
1 second. The Bible it says in Deuteronomy 4:2, you shall not add or take from the word. So
let me come back to Jeremiah 8:8. Let me quote now Jeremiah 8:8.
No, because I want to address a point by point. I don't want to.
Can we just read out Jeremiah before you talk about other verses?
Because you made a claim about the translations. You said something about the KJV.
Yeah. Can I address that in a minute? Because that's let's just do this first, and then we'll talk about why the King James Version is a dreadful translation. Now, the New International Version, which is the most popular English translation amongst the evangelicals, says, well, whatever, is a very popular. You just let me read the verse, please, and then we'll read other verses.